Okay. Welcome back to the Inspired Idiot Show. Steffi, we have Steph. Do you like to go by Steffi, Stephanie?
Either or, I think most people call me Steph or Steffi G
Okay,
sometimes.
okay, cool. So you are a certified holistic nutritionist and functional medicine health coach. You're the owner of Unlimited You Coaching, where you mainly help people with natural healing, hormonal balances, gut health, all coming from a natural healing point of view. You're the co-founder of Vitamin G Nutraceuticals. You're the vice chairman of Functional Medicine Health Coaching Association. And you're also the director of a company called Grow Club, which is based out of South Africa, where you are today. So that is a lot of titles. That is quite the resume. So you've obviously built a career and I mean, even like your own little empire off of naturopathy. I guess what I would like to start by asking you is just if you could explain to like a sixth grader what you do and how you help people, what do you think you would say?
Goodness, if I was going to explain to a sixth grader what I do, to put it simply, I help you feel good. I help you to wake up every day with lots of energy so you can go out there and actually live the life you want to live. I help you to understand your body so you're not wondering where all these mystery symptoms are coming from or feeling like you're crazy because you are anxious and you're not sleeping and you have no energy and you've got all these mood swings. Like you're not crazy, there's just an imbalance. And I help you to understand that and to correct it so that you can really feel like yourself again and just wake up with energy every morning and clarity so that you can get through your day, like actually enjoying your day and not having to drag yourself through the day waiting to get back into bed that night. Is that clear enough?
It is, yeah, it is very clear. And like as you were explaining that, the first kind of like curious, I would say even like childlike question that came to my mind is like, shouldn't that be something that we all just feel? Like it almost seems
Yeah.
like why do we have to like seek somebody else out to help us with that? Why don't we just always feel that way?
That is such a good question. And I tell people all the time that being healthy, or should I say creating health, is actually a skill that we need to learn. It is something that we have this innate ability to heal, and we know what we should be doing. The body knows what it needs. But unfortunately, we live in a society, in the world that we live in today, is not set up to help us to be healthy, to help us heal. If you look at the amount of stress we live under, this rat race that we live in, the food system, the amount of toxins and chemicals and things we're exposed to, how many hours we spend indoors right now as opposed to being outside. If I'm not mistaken, we spend about 93 to 97% of our time indoors every day, which is insane. So yes, you are absolutely right. We should be waking up feeling incredible. We should know how to look after ourselves. Health isn't something we should have to think about. It should be just something that we do. But unfortunately, the world that we live in right now is completely against us living and being and creating health. So it's become a skill that we have to learn because most of us don't know how to sleep properly. Most of us don't know what we should or should not be eating, with the exception of maybe don't eat fried food, limit the sugar. But anything deeper than that, we're not really understanding what we should be eating. And that's really where I come in, just to help you, to teach you how to create health, not by following a list of do's and don'ts, but seeing what is it that your body is specifically lacking. What is your body asking for? Our body speaks to us through signs and symptoms. So when we can identify what the body's asking for and give it to your body, healing happens naturally. And that's when you do start to wake up with energy, when you are sleeping well, when your moods are stable or happy. So it really is a skill we have to learn, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because there is a kind of an unfortunate side to this. And like for me personally, what led me to start learning about like naturopathy and like natural healing is because I feel like for most of my life, I just kind of trusted what doctors recommended to me. I got put on birth control when I was 13 because a doctor recommended it for reasons that had nothing to do with, what birth control is typically meant
Yeah.
for. But so I was basically on birth control for many, many years. I also
Mhm.
later in life went on anxiety medications at the recommendation of a doctor. And
Mm.
just being a young person, I never thought to question what my doctor was recommending to me. I just thought, oh, this person helps people be healthy. This is what they're telling me to do. And I just kind of took that to heart. And now, being where I am today, what has led me to start looking into this field is basically trying to learn how I can undo a lot of what being on these medications has done, because I spent so long, not letting my body have a natural hormonal cycle. I've been
Yeah.
on medications for so long now that some of them I don't know that I will ever not be on it. And I wonder how differently things would have played out had I maybe sought out a naturopath to get a second opinion before just taking the advice of my doctor. So, is that something that you have found with your clients, that a lot of people come to you because they're trying to basically fix something that has happened because they went the other route of like pharmaceuticals and fixing the symptoms rather than the root cause?
Definitely. So, first of all, I just want to say I'm sorry that that was your experience. I can 100% relate to that. And your story is most people's story, unfortunately. But the good thing is, I do notice that the healthcare landscape is changing, and more people are seeking out natural solutions and starting to take their health future into their own hands, which is fantastic. So, to answer your question, yes, a lot of the people that are coming to me almost as a last resort. Like, I've tried everything. I've been on medication for the last 12 years. Nothing is working. I'm still feeling bad, or my symptoms have gotten worse. And with every passing year, I'm feeling worse and worse and worse. And I just don't know what to do anymore, because they've gone from specialist to specialist to specialist. I work a lot with people who have gut issues and autoimmune conditions. And it is very hard for these kinds of individuals to find answers. That's not just take this pill and hope for the best kind of thing. So, yes, a lot of the people coming to me are just completely fed up with what their experience has been up till now, and they're trying to reverse some damage that was done previously. On the other hand, I have been noticing that a lot more people over the last 3 years have been coming to me purely out of the desire to go natural. It's not that they've been let down by their doctors or anything like that, but they just don't want to be on medication for the rest of their life. And when speaking to their doctor, that's the situation. You've got to be on altroxin or statins or whatever the case is. And they're coming to me like, I feel like my body should be able to heal. And I feel like I want to be better, feel better, even if I am on medication right now. But there has to be a natural alternative to this.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, with people being able to do so much research online, there's so much information out there and people are becoming a little bit more self-aware. But speaking from somebody who lives in Canada, where public healthcare is pretty accessible to people, and it's very easy to get an appointment with a doctor and to get a prescription. But to
Mm.
get in with a naturopath or like some kind of specialist that, might suggest more natural methods is a little bit harder. And like one is
Oh.
covered by pretty much all insurances, while the other one is covered by virtually no insurances. So I
Mm.
think there still is a bit of just speaking from my own experience, I think there
Mm.
still is a bit of a problem with the system of it, because I think the medical field, at least from what I've learned in my research, has kind of shifted to more profit, and there is
Definitely.
profit in pharmaceuticals as opposed
Mm.
to there's probably less profit in teaching people how to heal naturally. But what do you think about that with your experience?
I completely agree with you. And I don't want to sound pessimistic here. I am an optimist by nature, but
Mhm.
I don't foresee the healthcare system changing anytime soon, if ever, to be honest. I'm not hopeful for that. When I talk about the landscape changing, it's more with us as the individual that is wanting something different. And through education, through all this content, through social media, more and more people are becoming aware of natural alternatives. But that is a decision you have to make for yourself, because you're never going to go to a doctor and they're going to say, don't take this medication, rather, eat better. I shouldn't say never, but it's not the norm. That pharmaceuticals are not going to be pushed on you, or that the way that we even educate doctors in university, the curriculum. I mean, the system is deep, the problem is deep.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
100% is based off of profits, not on supporting people. This is why I always say to people that uh, you basically need to be the CEO of your own health. You have to save yourself because nobody is gonna save you. Your doctors, meanwhile, don't get me wrong, I'm not bad mouthing the medical practitioners, but I am bad mouthing the medical system. It's a
Yeah.
broken system and it's not going to change. So 100% we need to actually step up and fight for ourselves and stand up for ourselves and educate ourselves, because nobody is actually going to be there to necessarily help us get better in the long run. We have to take those steps. There's a lot of support along the way once you've made that decision. There is so much support that you need to be in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I think you brought up a really good point there because it's not necessarily that the medical practitioners are coming at it from a malicious intent of like,
Mhm.
haha, we want to just get everybody on prescriptions, but it does go back to as far back as like the university they went to because I learned
Yeah.
this recently that in Canada, this might have even been a North American stat that approximately 80% of medical school funding comes from pharmaceutical companies.
Mm.
These medical students, as they're working on becoming doctors, are reading textbooks made from pharmaceutical companies, and they're
Yeah.
kind of always having this ingrained in their education. So they might not necessarily enter into the medical field with the intention of prescribing first,
Of
but it might have
course.
just been ingrained in their education.
Yeah, that's the solution that you're taught in medical school. Somebody becomes a doctor because they want to help people. They want to make this world a better place. But when you're put into a broken system, it is what it is. But am noticing a lot more practitioners, your normal PCPs or general practitioner, family care practitioners are moving more into the functional medicine landscape, which is amazing. Every single year, I'm seeing more and more doctors shifting, whether they are even gynecologists or even psychiatrists that are now shifting into this more functional medicine model. And, there's a time and a place for prescriptions. There's a time and a place for pharmaceuticals. But if you're prescribing a pharmaceutical for mental health, maybe also prescribe some morning sunlight and some good sleep, It's not just about the medication. It's hardly ever about the medication.
So can you tell me a little bit about, I guess, I read like on your website that you struggled with autoimmune, I guess is the term autoimmune diseases, conditions, and that is kind of what led you down this path. Can you tell me a little bit about like what kind of started you on this journey and made you want to not only learn about it, but pursue a whole career in it?
Of course, yeah. So I never in a million years thought I would end up running my own business, let alone one in healthcare. I was actually in construction when I left school. That's what I studied and that's what I worked in for quite a few years. And that was my goal. I was going to build big steel structures. But my health, I would say, since I was really young, about 6 years old, my health was not ideal. Looking back, I can see what the problems were and how it started, but I only figured that out once I got into sort of the functional medicine space. But to sort of sum it up, since I was about 6 years old, I always struggled with gut issues, tummy issues, food sensitivities, all this kind of thing. And then in my teens, it did get a lot worse, and I was always tired. I remember specifically from the age of 14, just constantly feeling tired, no matter how much I slept, no matter what I did. And I kind of just accepted eventually by 18, 19, I thought, well, this is just who I am. I'm just tired. I don't have energy. It is what it is. There were so many different health challenges that I was facing, I would say from about 14 through till about 25. Gut issues, like I said, cystic acne, severe anxiety, and every doctor I went to for help was putting me onto antibiotics, which was making the problem worse. I was told, well, you've just got food poisoning. That's why your stomach's acting up. I'm like, nobody can have food poisoning for like 3 years. This is insane. They wanted to get me onto, because of my acne, they tried to put me onto birth control, onto Accutane, all these different things that have the most awful side effects. And even though I wasn't into health at that time, I knew nothing about the body, what was healthy, what wasn't. I've refused to go onto birth control back then because something just didn't feel right. Instinctively, I thought, I don't want to be messing with my hormones here. This is not how we were created. There has to be a different way. So at the time, I didn't have autoimmune, but I had severe metabolic issues, gut issues, chronic inflammation, like fatigue, just a whole host. That's when I started to learn about gut health. I just said, I can't keep doing this. I jumped online. I'm like, I have to find something natural. Like I'm sure most of the clients that I work with now, how they ended up finding me, but I just jumped online. I thought there's got to be a better way. And that's where I started learning and reading and researching about gut health. And it absolutely blew me away. I knew immediately this is where my problem was sitting. And that's when I found a functional medicine doctor to support me, to guide me, to just do some different sort of testing to help. So everything ended up coming back to something that I ended up getting bit by a tick when I was really young, when I was 6 years old. And then there was Lyme disease, and all these things looking back make sense, but didn't really know it at the time. So through the years since I realized it was my gut, I did a lot of work to heal my gut, to understand the human body. The more I learned, the more fascinated I was, the more I wanted to learn. And it took me about 3 years, but I was able to heal my gut, lose the weight. I picked up an astronomical amount of weight for a 20-something-year-old girl. My acne had cleared up within about 4 months. My anxiety was gone. My acne was clear. My weight had dropped. It was phenomenal after struggling for so many years. And that's really when I decided, look, in all honesty, when you know something that can help people, when you've experienced something that's so transformational for yourself, can't help but like want to tell people. You actually can't keep it to yourself. If I looked at how many years I struggled with different health issues, how let down I felt by the healthcare team that I was working with, and flipped the switch to, it took me 4 months of working on my gut and I felt like an absolutely new person. I could have saved myself years and years and years of struggle. So that's when I decided to actually change careers. And I went to study nutrition, understood the impact of food, because something I must note here is while I was trying to get better, I was eating all the things that I thought were healthy: whole wheat bread or rye bread, low fat yogurts, cottage cheese, all these different things, lots of fruit, thinking that this is what supposed to be healthy. Meanwhile, actually what was destroying my gut even further. So I started off by just studying nutrition and then moved into the functional medicine health coaching space. If I look back at my entire journey, I had incredible functional medicine doctors at one stage, and I initially had set out with the intention to study functional medicine to become a doctor. But when I looked back at my journey, I didn't need another doctor. I needed a coach. I needed support. I needed somebody that could have walked that journey with me. I didn't need a doctor I was seeing once every 6 weeks or once every 12 weeks. I needed somebody I could speak to weekly as my body was changing, as I was hitting challenges. I needed somebody to guide me through that. And that's why I decided that I want to fill the gap that was missing for me, and then studied functional medicine health coaching. Funny enough, and the last thing I'll say on this is that once I had qualified and started up my business, my health was really good at the time, studying, starting up the business, all good. And then things just went severely downhill. And that's when I started to develop an autoimmune condition, Hashimoto's, of the thyroid. And I mention this because even though health was at the forefront of my mind at that time, the one area I neglected was my stress management. Starting up a business, putting myself in a very uncomfortable position, uh, having never run a business before, everything being online. Used to be a very shy person. So showing up online and doing videos and things was very awkward for me, very stressful.
Mhm.
Because I was living with those high levels of stress and uncomfortability, it unfortunately did trigger the autoimmune condition. But luckily, I had the knowledge and the tools that I needed. So within 8 months, I was able to get rid of the antibodies and completely reverse that diagnosis without any prescription, but definitely took a lot of food and lifestyle changes at the time. So that's a bit of my story.
You said so many things there that I had thoughts and responses to. One of the stories you told there was about and I saw this on your website, your
Mm,
experience of getting acne a little bit later in life. Like you didn't have acne as a teenager, but you got it in your early 20s, and then
yeah.
you were seeking out solutions for that. And that was actually one of the stories I read of yours that I resonated with, because when I went off of birth control after many years of being on it, I got acne for the first time in my life. And at almost 30, I was like, this is crazy. I've never had acne before. So it was very uncomfortable. And I felt very just I felt like I wasn't being heard by any medical professional I went to because their solution was always, well, we should put you back on birth control. And I was like, that's not on the table. That's not even an option. And then the other option was different prescriptions and
Yeah.
expensive like steroid prescription creams, which I know that you also had an experience with, where you read all the side effects and the, you can't go out in the sun type things. And I was like, what is this stuff that I'm putting on my
Mhm.
face? And just the action of like, okay, well, there's something going on in my body that is causing this acne to come out of me. And I have these medical professionals telling me that the solution is to put a cream on my face. And it just
Yeah.
never made sense to me that that would be the thing to solve it. I was like, I feel like I'm literally just putting a mask on it, but we're not actually solving the problem. And the kind of breaking point for me, I guess, was my dermatologist had prescribed me a drug called spironolactone,
Okay.
and I think it's typically used as a blood pressure medication, but it can also be used to like kind of flush acne. And I was in her office one day, and my fiance at the time was with me. And I said, is there anything that we can do that does not involve me having to go to a pharmacy every month? And she was very dismissive and basically just said, no, keep taking the pills. It's going to get better.
Mhm.
But she saw my fiance there, and then she looked at us and she was like, but you're not trying to get pregnant, right? And I was like, not at the moment, but now I'm
Yeah.
curious why you ask. And she said, well, as soon as you guys are thinking about getting pregnant, you're going to want to get off this medication, like well before that. So that spun off all these questions in my head of like,
Um,
okay, well, why? Like, what's the
yeah.
problem here? And so I did some research, and this medication has been shown in studies that if women who are pregnant take it, it has a high risk of feminizing male fetuses. So
What?
it can basically mess with
Yes.
the gender production of your baby. And so immediately I was like, well, what is this doing to my body then? Like if this drug has the capability of doing that, what is it
Yeah.
doing to me? And at that point I just remember feeling so frustrated, and I literally decided that day, I was like, I'm stopping these pills, I'm stopping the creams. I It didn't feel smart, but I was like, I'm just going to stop everything and try to
Yeah.
just let my body reset a little bit. And the next time I went to see her, I basically just said, if you can't help me find a solution that doesn't involve these pharmaceuticals, then I need to explore maybe seeing another dermatologist. And
Yes.
at that point, she said, okay, try using a cleanser with benzoyl peroxide in it. And that was the only advice she gave me. And
Um,
I started using that, and my acne has been slowly clearing up for the last 6 months.
wow.
So
Wow.
as cool of a story as that was, it felt, I think that a lot of people, when you step into a doctor's office, the doctor in that room is the authority figure. So
Yes.
a lot of people just listen to what the doctor recommends. And I think that for a lot of people, especially people who, maybe don't feel like they have a lot of extra money, and investing in something like a naturopathic coach is maybe to them like more monetarily expensive than just going to their practitioner and taking a
Yeah.
$20 prescription. But I think we've kind of created this culture where people see that as an expense as opposed to an investment in your long-term health.
Mm.
So a lot of your story, yeah, really resonated with me on that front.
It is absolutely crazy, but good for you for advocating for yourself. And it sounds to me like you have a very strong intuition already, just asking questions and knowing that putting something topically is not necessarily going to fix something on the inside. So good for you for actually just taking that intuition and running with it, because it sounds like it's already saved you what could have been a really, really, really hard time down the line by being on those medications. And
Yeah.
you're so right that a lot of people see it as an expense and not necessarily an investment. And there's just sort of two sides to that. You either invest now or you pay later. So it is a worthwhile thing to do, to work with somebody that knows what they're doing, that can help you. It's going to save you a lot of time and it's going to save you a lot of money in the long run. You're going to invest now and live well, or you are going to pay later with whatever the condition is you're dealing with. Those things just get worse because the prescription meds don't reverse the condition. they slow down its progression. Having said that, it's easy to say, well, just invest because, it's rather now than later. That's true. But if somebody really does not have the money to put, not everybody has an extra $500 or $1,000 or whatever it's going to cost you to go through a journey. You might not have that. And I completely understand. But we are so blessed, as hectic as social media and YouTube and all the content can be. um, we're very blessed that we do have so much knowledge at our fingertips. If you are looking to reverse a condition or just to get your energy back or whatever it is, jump online, jump onto YouTube, read some blogs, but follow legitimate practitioners. If you're following somebody on Instagram that doesn't have much of a background, you could be getting very, very different information. So I understand it's a bit tricky with who to follow, but find somebody online that makes sense, that's reputable, that you can relate to and learn from them. There are tons of free masterclasses. There's ebooks. I host a free masterclass every single month to everybody on different areas of health, whether it's painful periods or menopause or gut healing. There's a lot of people doing stuff like this. So take that sort of initiative and start to learn. When I started my healing journey, I probably spent about 3 years Googling, researching everything I could without being able to run a whole bunch of expensive tests and get onto expensive supplements. Sunshine in the morning is free. Walking is free. There are a lot of lifestyle related or lifestyle medicine that you can implement that's not going to cost you anything. That's going to have an immense, immense impact on your current well-being and your future health status.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. I think you mentioned something there that actually was one of the questions that I wanted to touch on, because one of the
Mhm.
things you do is you're the vice chairman for Functional Medicine Health Coaching Association, the Functional Medicine Health Coaching Association. So I'm curious what led you to want to take on that position?
That's the Functional Medicine Association in South Africa. It's not a global one or anything at this stage, but it is in South Africa's. I had joined when I got back to South Africa in 2021 because I was based in the US almost full time up until then. When I got back in 2021, I started up a second health business, the Vitamin G Nutraceuticals. But I was really just looking for a community of like-minded people. I had that in the US, but I was unsure of what the functional medicine or holistic landscape was like in South Africa. So I was really just looking for a community. So I found the Functional Medicine Health Coaching Association, and that whole association is built only through people who have the exact same qualification as I do. So I know their background. I know the quality of experience and education that they have. So I ended up joining the association. I was part of it for about 2 years. And then the opportunity came up for vice chair and chair. And I was nominated and I took it on because I wanted to see this grow more in South Africa. Functional medicine is an industry that more and more people are learning about, but it is still not known by the masses. And I wanted to play a part in doing whatever I can to spread the word and to let them know there's functional medicine, there's coaching. We need to teach people about root cause medicine. Whether you're working with somebody else or whether you're doing it yourself at home, you need to know about root cause treatment through functional medicine. So that's what really got me to take on that role. It was available there. I was nominated and I said, yes, let me do it for a year or two and see how this goes, see what I can do for the association, the members, and getting the word out there. And 3 years
Mhm.
later, I'm still I'm still on the board.
Nice. Yeah, I think that you touched on something that is important there though, because it's true that like with social media, we have access to so much information. So people can do a lot of research and learn a lot themselves about natural healing in their bodies. But I think the kind of flip side of that coin too, especially even just like the word coaching, I think is becoming a very like buzzword today, especially if you are in the world of online business.
Yeah,
It
it
does
is.
sometimes feel like every second person today is a coach of
Yeah.
some kind. And I think you touched on something there that I think is important when it comes to fields like health and wellness. I would choose a coach who has done the thing that I want to do. And I think having somebody with proper credentials is really important too, because people can, somebody could do what you did and spend 3 years Googling and then just kind of call themselves a coach and start helping other
Yeah.
people. And it's not that they couldn't help those people, but I think it's very easy today to kind of get sold into somebody's story, even though they might not actually be the best and most qualified person to help you.
Mm,
So I appreciate that you not only have like the credentials to be able to help people, but you've actually lived the story too. Like
mm.
you've gone through that transformation yourself. I think that in coaching is really, really important, especially in the areas of dealing with the body and health and healing.
Completely agree with you, and thank you for saying that. I must be honest, when I was investigating to or deciding whether to study coaching or not at the time, I had a really, really bad negative perception on coaching. So when the idea came up, I'm like, but it can't be coaching. It has to be something else, you know. My whole perception on it was just that it wasn't a legitimate field, if I can put it that way. And the reason I
Mhm.
say this is because you jump onto Instagram and there are ads popping up all the time. Become a nutritionist in 6 weeks, or become a health coach in 8 weeks, get certified. And I'm like, what is this nonsense? Or there's 23-year-olds on my Instagram talking about life coaching and offering their services. I was like, my friend, you're 23. What are you going to teach me right now about life? And I say that like, not to be sound mean or judgy, but that was my association with coaching. When I understood the field a lot better and what was offered through functional medicine and how functional medicine and coaching tied so beautifully together, it was a complete switch in my brain. And I knew exactly that's what I wanted to do. And I think not I think, I know there's a very big difference between somebody who studies health coaching, which is beautiful by all means. Anytime you can study something to help yourself, to help other people, go ahead and please do that. When you're studying health coaching, you're partnering with somebody to give them a bit of guidance, not to tell them what to eat, what not to eat, not to help them find the root cause, but to basically partner with them to help them make certain lifestyle changes that they want to make. And when we pair that with functional medicine, there you're getting the understanding of the core body systems, how everything works together. You get an understanding of genetics and detoxification and immunology and all these different things. So you are able to pinpoint where the root cause imbalances could be lying and then work with your client on that. Not just saying, you want to eat better, let me help you eat better. That's a really important part, but we can help you to identify what the symptoms that you are dealing with actually mean within your body. So it's two very different aspects, I would say, of coaching.
And it would make sense then, like, there is a lot of kind of, like, investigating that goes into that, and it is a bit of, like, a
Definitely.
longer term journey than it would be to just go to a doctor's office and get a
Mm,
prescription, and I think that that's an interesting side of this too, and honestly kind of part of the problem is that people do see it as, like, a bit of a bigger investment, like, if I want to work with a naturopathic coach, I'm looking at, probably multiple sessions. It could be
yeah,
multiple months before I feel like I'm actually healed. And I think that especially in North America, we are very big on quick fixes
yeah,
and, band-aid solutions and fixing
mhm,
the symptoms, not actually the problem. So I think
yeah,
that's kind of an interesting side to this too, is that I could see, just thinking about the environment that I grew up in, I could see people being faced with these two options of I can go to my doctor and I can get a fix for this today, or
mm,
I can take the time to research and find a naturopathic coach and see how long that's going to take. And, it feels like more of a journey. And I think because of the way a lot of North American people are, of like, we're very busy, we're very fast paced, we want quick fixes. I can see how more people still go to the doctor's office as
of
opposed
course.
to really putting that time in to like
Yeah.
investigate their health.
Well, one of the first things that they drilled into us in school was that you help the people that want your help, not the people that need your help, because those are also two very different things. And it's
Mm,
hard to try restrain yourself when you see somebody that you know so deeply you can help, but they're just not interested in taking a root cause approach or in making any kind of lifestyle change. And that's okay. This is our life, it's our bodies. We must do with it what we want. It's really hard to not want to jump in and be like, but just do this, just do this. You're going to feel so much better. But you can't, you can't. You don't offer any advice, you don't do anything unless somebody wants it. Unless somebody's
mhm.
really looking for support, then I will help anybody who wants it. But We can't help the people who need our help. We help the people who want our help.
Right, right. So what would you say are some of the most, like, if you think about the clients who work with you kind of the closest, like your maybe another way to think of this is like your
Mm.
highest paying clients, what are some of the most common problems that they hire you to help them solve?
Definitely gut issues. So that's my specialty. That's my primary focus. I do work a lot with people who have various autoimmune conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and especially Hashimoto's. But in all autoimmune conditions, the root cause sits in the gut. So it's no surprise that people are coming to me with gut issues and they have these autoimmune conditions. But my primary focus is working on the gut. So some of the common symptoms that people are experiencing with gut issues, you have your standard obvious ones like bloating and food sensitivities and abdominal pain that we associate with gut issues. But what people don't always realize is a sign that your body is telling you that your gut is unhealthy or unhappy is things like chronic fatigue, weight issues, whether that's an inability to lose weight or an inability to gain weight. Brain fog is a huge one where you can't remember simple things. You read a page, you can't remember what's on it. You open up your phone, you don't remember what you were trying to do. You forget a word mid-sentence, those kinds of things. And then acne as well, huge indicator that you have a gut issue, as well as joint pain. If you are struggling with joint pain, 100% something's going on in your gut. And then, of course, autoimmune. So these are the things a lot of my clients are coming to me with. It is the bloating, the weight gain, not sleeping, anxiety, joint pain, and just feeling like they can't move very well anymore. And some of these women are, 38, 39, and they're like, but why am I so stiff? Like, I feel like I'm 60 years old right now. This can't be my life. If this is how I'm feeling now, how am I going to feel then? And I'm so glad that you're thinking about that now. We got to think about what our life's going to be like in the future and sort of plan and prep for that right now. But within a few months, once you tackle the root cause, once you tackle the gut, within a couple of weeks, you're sleeping better. Your bloating can be gone within 5 to 10 days, depending on what we're dealing with. So changes happen fast, but true healing takes some time. And your body didn't get to the space it's in overnight. Most people have lived with these specific or a variety of different imbalances or deficiencies in the body for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And it takes time. Your body is always fighting for you, which is the most beautiful thing. So it takes time for you to get to the point that you're at right now. But the beautiful thing is that it doesn't take as long for the body to heal. The body wants to heal. The body wants to get better. We just have to, first of all, get out of its way. And second of all, give it what it needs in order to go forward with that healing process. So the body can heal very quick. You might have had Hashimoto's or IBS or rheumatoid arthritis for 10 years, but it doesn't mean we're going to take 10 years to get you better. It can happen within a matter of months with the right support.
Nice. Oh my gosh. Again, you said multiple things there that I wanted to respond to, but I think you've kind of hit this point on the head a couple times that people are kind of seeking out this information and people are thinking like, no, this can't be as good as it gets for me. Like if I'm 39 and I feel like I'm moving like a 60-year-old, like what am I going to be like at 60? And they're unwilling to accept that this is just how it is. And I think that's a big part of why I wanted to interview you for Inspired Idiots, because Inspired Idiots is about like people trying to build their unrealistic life. And for a lot of people, that
Mhm.
is about building their business, but it is also just about kind of looking at what the norms say and being willing to say, no, that's not what I want. I believe it can be different for me. I believe it can be better than this. And just being willing to figure it out. So, on that front, when you first made that pivot from you thought you were going to pursue this career in construction, and then you went through this journey, you found that this was your passion and you decided, okay, I'm going to go that direction. When you first decided I'm going to start a business doing this, what was that like for you, kind of jumping into the world of entrepreneurship in this new field? Like what did that feel like for you?
So nerve-wracking. I gave myself an autoimmune condition, but we sorted it out.
Mhm.
No, in all honesty, it was very exciting, but I had no idea where to even start. And I remember I started up my business in 2020. but it was just at the start of COVID. And the intention was always for me to run an online coaching business. And I still had conversations with so many people saying, I don't know how this is going to be received. Like, who does health online? This is not a thing. But because I live in multiple countries, like this, when you talk about creating your ideal life, the ideal life I wanted was to be able to work remotely so that I can move around and have freedom, because freedom is one of my most important values next to health. So I had no idea how this would be received. I'm like, nobody does anything like this online. And then I hate to say luckily, but it just so happened that COVID hit and everything went online. So it was the right time for me to at least start an online practice. But I remember being so nervous when I was thinking about even just starting up my website, like, oh, what am I going to write in my bio? And this felt like such a big thing to word my bio right. And fast forward 2 years later, running hectic customer journeys on email platforms. I've rebuilt my entire website myself. I'm running a team of different people. Completely different if I think of how nervous I was in the beginning. Um, it was very exciting, but one of the things, it was overwhelming. Let me put it that way as well. It was overwhelming because when you're not too sure where to go or what to do, you jump online, you look for resources, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands of different business resources out there and coaches, and everybody's telling you focus on LinkedIn and focus on Instagram and focus on YouTube and focus on your emails and do this. No, don't do that. Like, it becomes very, very, very overwhelming. I do recommend that people get some sort of support and guidance, do your research, but don't lose yourself in the process of trying to implement other people's strategies. You started up a business because you have a heart for something, you have a vision for something, whether that's in health, in tech, in IT, whatever it is. You have a heart, you have a vision, you have a mission, and don't lose that in the noise of all this online content and coaching. I would also say that if you're trying to do it all at once, is not advisable because you end up feeling overwhelmed and you end up not executing anything properly. But it is important to take continuous action. Every single day, you need to take action on something, whether you are feeling imposter syndrome, whether you're tired, whether you're overwhelmed, you need to take action on something. Don't try to do everything all at once, but pick something. Take that action. Start that Instagram account, if that's what it is. Start the email account. Write a blog. Reach out to a potential client. Anything. Just do something. You need to take action, because if you don't, that is what's going to keep you stuck in imposter syndrome.
Yeah, that's such a good point. But I think what you said there at the beginning, that it was so overwhelming and stressful for you that you actually gave yourself an autoimmune condition. I think there's something that's like really, really valuable to talk about here though, because I found for me, I got into business in 2021, 2022,
Yeah.
and I'm realizing now in hindsight that a lot of business content was at the time very male dominated. I was consuming a lot of content from people like Alex Hermosi and Gary
Yeah.
Vanderchuck, and there is a lot of value in their content for sure. But a lot of it was also like, suppress your emotions, focus on getting the work done. You can operate
Yes.
on 6 hours of sleep. And so I kind of had these ideas running through my head for probably like the first 2 years of running my business.
Yeah.
And needless to say, I burnt out a couple times to the point that I
Yeah.
was actually like physically injured on the couch, unable to get up because my body was just a whole other story. But I remember laying there and I had sciatica in my back, and it was like truly one of the most painful experiences I've ever had. But so I was basically forced to just lay on the couch and do nothing because I
Yeah.
literally couldn't move. And I just remember laying there and I was like, I feel like this isn't really working for me the way that I've been doing this. And I think what you touched on there of like you building your business at times became so stressful and overwhelming that it
Mm.
resulted in an autoimmune disease. I think there's something really important to hit there, because there is kind of this idea in business that you need to take your emotions out of it and you need to take
Yeah.
action, and it takes hard work, and those things are all valid. But I think that when I started talking more about the kind of emotional, vulnerable side of growing a business and just like the
Yeah.
human part of it, I noticed that that really started to gain traction with people because people related to that, and they related
Yeah.
to that feeling of trying to like just shove everything down for the sake of building their business. But I think what you said there that's really valuable is that if you do that long enough or intense enough, you can actually end up causing health issues for yourself. And when your health
Yeah.
starts to decline, your business almost certainly will too.
There's so many golden nuggets that you shared in there, and I could not agree with you more. It is a mistake that a lot of people sometimes learn. I wouldn't say too late, but much later on, is that after neglecting their life, their health, sorry, for years and years and years, putting all their time and focus into the business. Your business might be successful now, but at what cost? Your health, your body has suffered for it. And imagine how much more successful, productive, and happy you would be if you were building a business with a healthy body, if your brain was actually functioning at 100%, if you were actually getting 8 hours of sleep. If you think you're doing well on 6 hours of sleep, imagine what you're capable of on 8 hours of sleep. I'm all for pursuing your passion and building that business, and undoubtedly, it takes hard work. It takes sacrifice. It takes being comfortable with the uncomfortable. But it doesn't mean that in that it's an excuse to neglect our health. We still get to make healthy choices with food. We still get to find time to spend outside or with loved ones. We still get to prioritize sleep. You might not be sleeping perfectly 7 nights a week, but are you at least trying to get good sleep? Don't forfeit your sleep because of late meetings or creating content or whatever until early hours of the morning, 5 days a week. It's just not worth it. So I love that you said that you are sharing it a lot more openly, just more vulnerably about the human side of building a business. And not many people do online. So I love that because it is the craziest roller coaster you will ever go on. I think the amount of times I'm like, I love my job, I love being an entrepreneur, I want to do this forever, to I'm done, I want to throw in the towel. That happens 100 times, and it happens 100 times in a day. It's not like over a period of a year. That's in a day. It is the craziest roller coaster you will absolutely ever be on. But it is so important to not neglect your health in the process, because without your health, that business is not going anywhere. Without your health, your family, what's going to happen to you? If you have a family, what's going to happen to you if you neglect yourself? You can't show up for
Mhm.
them. You can't show up for your business. You can't show up properly for anything that truly, truly, truly matters for you. So I tell people all the time that love yourself. How do I say this? Because women specifically tend to self-sacrifice a lot, whether it's for work or for their family. We tend to be martyrs. But if you can't love yourself enough to look after your health, love the things that matter to you, love your family enough, love your business enough to look after yourself, because they're the ones that are going to suffer if you're not looking after yourself.
Mhm. Yeah. That's yeah, that's powerful. What I always kind of think to myself is, and I think I remember hearing this quote recently, that when nothing is feeling wrong with your health, you feel like you have 1,000 problems. And then when you do have something going on with your
Yeah,
health or you have a big health scare, all of a sudden you only have one
yeah.
because everything else becomes secondary when you suddenly have a
Mhm.
big health problem in your life. So I think that was kind of the big kind of aha moment for me. It was I was like, if I am building this business that feels like it's literally burning me to the ground in the process,
Yeah.
then is hitting my financial goal really going to be everything I want it to be if I sacrifice my body and my relationships in the process? And if that's what it takes, then I need to do it differently. And
Yeah.
I kind of just decided I'm going to figure out how to do this my way. And I'm just going to share what I'm learning. And I'm going to talk to other people who seem like they're on similar journeys and try to put content out there that feels very real and
Yeah.
isn't all of the kind of smoke and mirrors that we see out there with business content, but also with health content. I think they both kind of have that same overwhelming amount of information that you don't
Really.
always know who to listen to. So on that note, I guess talking about family, I know that one of the companies that you run is Vitamin G Nutraceuticals, and you run it with your brother, right?
Yes, we're a family business. My parents are actually involved as well, so it
Okay.
really is a full family business. We started that up in 2021. It's a nutraceutical company that we focus on gut health and autoimmune reversal. So it's been all the things learning to run a business with family.
Hmm.
It has been so joyful. It has been exciting to be able to do this as a team. Often, when you are building something really big, something that you're passionate about, those closest to you don't understand it or can't relate. So, the beautiful thing is that we've been able as a family to relate so deeply in what we're building and to team up together to do that. We're on the same path, the same mission. But working with family definitely comes with its own set of challenges. Learning to navigate all different relationships and big decisions, and it's something. It is something.
Yeah, I can relate to that. My business partner is my husband, so there's all kind of
So,
extra, challenges that you go through there on like, okay, how do we work together well on this without, while being respectful of the fact that we have a relationship outside of this business.
mm,
So, can you take me back? Like, do you remember the moment that you and your brother decided like, okay, we're going to go into business together. We're going to do this. Like, what was that like?
I remember it so clearly, like it was honestly last night. I've got obviously the medicine and the sort of functional medicine nutrition background. And my brother has the business background, more so the business background. And he had been wanting to start up a business for a while, actually. And he was kind of trying to figure out what he wanted to do in that line. But he knew he wanted to start and grow and build a really incredible business. That's exciting for him. When I had the idea to start Vitamin G, to put basically what we've done with the blends is instead of having to buy 20 different pills and powders just so you can get everything you need to fix your gut or to support your body. What I did is I formulated a supplement specifically for gut health, for your liver, for these different areas in the body that have everything that the body needs in one scoop. And we put that into a glass of water, and that's that for the day. You don't need to take anything else, that one thing, and you're good to go. So this was my idea. When I was thinking about it, I was so frustrated with the supplement industry and spending so much money and not getting what I wanted that I thought, okay, well, stop moaning about the problem and fix it. So I did some research, put some formulations together, and then I approached my brother. I said, listen, I've got this idea. Is this something that you want to go in on me with? I'm happy to do the formulations and all the rest, but you bring your experience, bring your background, and let's go in and do this together. And he was super, super keen. We did look at doing a few other things like juices and smoothies and that kind of stuff, but we finally decided no, the nutraceuticals is the road we're going to take. And then we ended up approaching my parents as well. We are a family of entrepreneurs. They've had their own business since I can remember, all of them, and said, look, this is what we want to do. Do you guys want to get involved? And everybody, like at the thought of the idea of the nutraceuticals and the concept of what vitamin G is, everyone was on board. And the rest is history. Yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was so nervous approaching them with this idea, thinking, worried that they're going to say no, they don't want to jump in. And I was so determined to do this. I'm like, well, if they say no, I'm going to have to find another way. But I really hope they're going to do this with me. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's the story of vitamin G.
So you basically, it made sense to kind of partner with your brother because he had a bit more of the business background. And then I'm guessing, based on what you just said there, your parents were both entrepreneurs. Is that kind of why it made sense to you to bring them into the business, just to kind of get their experience? Or what capacity did you want them to kind of get in on the business on?
They have, I think collectively between them, they've got like 60 years of experience or something. So 100% wanted their business acumen, as well as they were so trusting or believed in what we wanted to do so much that they did offer us the initial funding to do the first batch of supplements, which was huge. So they invested into the business. Instead of going and getting a business loan at the bank, we set up a contract within ourselves and said, all right, they're going to loan the initial sort of capital for that. And I remember we started out with 20 tubs. I made 20 tubs and like, let's see if this sells. It was such a small batch. And now, I mean, we're doing 1,500 tubs every order. It's completely different. So they came in as investors and sort of assisted a bit with business strategy, but we're more silent for the most part. And it's only this year that they've decided to actually take a more active role in the business because now we're growing so much, we need more hands. So everybody's stepping in and taking a bigger role within the business. They support very much now on sort of the financial side in terms of doing the books and things like that, because I don't want to run and do the accounts every single month. I want to formulate nutraceuticals. I don't want to have to sit in an Excel spreadsheet all day, let's be honest.
Mhm.
So they support with the financials, and then Maureen is heading up our retail partnerships that are growing. Especially with me being part-time in South Africa, part-time in the US, I'm not able to run and sort of feet on the ground to visit those retailers every single week. So she heads up those partnerships for us. And one of the beautiful things about doing this with a team, whether you are running a business with family or with other team members, you grow a lot faster and you go a lot further when you are doing it with the right people, because the strengths that I have, Wesley does not have in terms of the medical background or the education of our community is what I mean, like teaching them about functional medicine. The business building skills he has is something that I don't have. So we have been able to draw on each other's strengths, whether it's business or marketing or brand development or finances, whatever it is. We've been able to draw on each other's strengths and use that to our advantage, which has been amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree. When you kind of get aligned with the right people, all of a sudden it can feel like, oh my
Mm,
God, this just took off. But I think yeah, you hit on a lot of good points there, just thinking like a business owner. And I think anybody who has kind of made that jump from like, I thought this was going to be my career path, maybe you were kind of living more of the employee life to then switching to entrepreneurship, it can for a very long time and maybe even forever, it kind of feels like you don't really know what you're doing and you're like I am just figuring this out as I go. So it's really cool that you already kind of had those people in your immediate family who had already been through that and you could kind of bring in their expertise. And one of the things that you said before that I want to come back to was a very common thing, especially for people dealing with things like anxiety and sleep issues is like, are you getting sun? Are you going outside? Are you, sleeping for more than 6 hours? And that is another part of the reason why I wanted to talk to you because the kind of long-term business that my partner and I are building is a tropical greenhouse here in Canada. So we basically we want to create like a huge tropical oasis so that I mean we're going to make content about the whole process to kind of
mm,
teach other people who live in cold climates how they can do it too.
it's
But
amazing.
we basically want to create an environment where people can be in nature even when it's negative 40 degrees outside.
Yes.
And I think that is something that is so, so overlooked is like just being outside and getting sunlight and like touching plants as opposed to just sitting inside all the time. So, are there any other like really simple things that you think people just completely disregard when it comes to their health
Yeah.
outside of, getting a good amount of sleep? Spending time outside? Is there anything else that you're like, it's so basic that it's completely overlooked?
First of all, I just want to jump onto what you said there about the plants and nature. Like what you're building sounds incredible. And I wish I could just stand and scream it from the mountaintops how important it is to get the sunlight and to be in nature. Like whether it's your window that you're just looking out in the day, seeing trees, seeing green, seeing whatever, or whether you're able to go outside and have a walk, take a walk in the park, wherever you're staying, just get outside in nature. I've got like 7 plants on my desk here right now. Because it just soothes me and it calms me. So 100% such an important thing. Just get outside in nature, get some sunlight, whether you can do 5 minutes or whether you can do 20 minutes, it doesn't matter. Do what you can. Then another tip that is so helpful, it's so simple, and that is supplementing with magnesium and vitamin D. Those two things. I will talk about some other non-supplement stuff, but I can't even begin to explain to you the impact that supplementing with a good quality magnesium complex and vitamin D can do for you. Most people are deficient, about 75% of people are deficient in magnesium, and 85% of people are deficient in vitamin D. Take magnesium, for example. It's responsible for around about 500 different functions in the body. We need it for energy. We need it for brain function. We need it for bowel movements, for gut health. We need it for mitochondrial health. We need it to protect our heart. If you're struggling with anxiety, one of the first things I do soon on when we start working together, I get people onto magnesium because there's an immediate improvement in your anxiety for most people when you are jumping onto a good quality magnesium complex. Supplementing with magnesium, our food is depleted of it. Just get yourself onto that. You're going to sleep better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to go to have better like bathroom habits. It's one of my number one nutrients. And then of course, vitamin D, because again, your hormones are made from vitamin D. We need it for energy. We need it for brain focus or brain function. So get yourself into a vitamin D and get yourself onto magnesium. It is going to be night and day in terms of your energy and your sleep quality. Then something else I would recommend, so simple. There's two things now. I'm trying to think of which one would be best. From a food perspective, start your day with protein. Please, please, please. At breakfast time, start your day with protein. Your first meal of the day, whether that's at 8 a.m. or 11 a.m., doesn't matter, but please start your day with protein. Too many people are starting it with sugary coffees, with bagels, with muffins, with even oatmeal, which I know gets promoted as a health food, but it's just a blood sugar spike. That is causing a dip in your productivity. It's causing a dip in your moods, your energy, just your whole quality of your day is awful when you have these horrible blood sugar spikes of the day. So by starting your day with protein, around about 30 grams for like the size of your palm, a little bit more than that, just to put it into perspective, but everybody's farm is a little bit different. But you want around about, even if you can just get 20 grams of protein, but protein at breakfast, it's a smoothie, put protein in your coffee. Like, I don't even care. Just get protein in to start your day, and you are going to have less cravings. You're going to have more energy. You're going to have more focus. It really, really nourishes your hormones, and it does support your gut microbiome as well in terms of repair.
Okay. Okay. And when, like, because I've heard the same thing about magnesium specifically, that most people are deficient in it. How
Mhm.
do you know what a good magnesium supplement looks like? Is there anything specific that people should look for?
I like a magnesium complex that has specifically magnesium glycinate in it. There's quite a few different forms of magnesium. You don't have to get one that has it all in. If you can get one that's got at least sort of 5 to 8 magnesiums, the one that I use has got, I think, 7 different magnesiums. That's really, really good. But the thing to look out for is not magnesium oxide, because that's quite a cheap form of magnesium. And that's what's in most of your like multivitamins and minerals. Most of your supplements will have magnesium oxide in. It doesn't do anything for you. So you want to get a nice combination, magnesium complex. You want to look for things like magnesium glycinate, magnesium citrate, magnesium L-threonate is really good, and magnesium malate. So those sort of
Hmm.
forms would be your best. For me, if I could only choose one, magnesium glycinate all the way. That's the calming one. It helps you sleep. It helps with bowel movements. It helps with respiratory health, everything. So if you're only doing one, I do magnesium glycinate. And we do look at around about minimum of about 350 milligrams a day. And this isn't a recommendation for anybody. I'm just saying this is generally what we would do. Please, you need to be very cautious when you're supplementing. But because people are so deficient, on average, you need about 500 to 750 milligrams of magnesium a day just to correct the deficiency. Once you have healthy levels, you're looking at taking about 350 milligrams a day. And I say this because you might buy a supplement and it says the dose is 1 capsule, but that capsule has 120 milligrams. You're not going to be getting the full effect. So again, I'm not dosing anybody here. I'm just giving you a bit of guidance. I personally take about between 350 to 500 milligrams of magnesium a day, the different forms.
And is it like a situation where not taking enough is ineffective, or is some better than none?
Some is better than none. Some is better than none,
Okay.
definitely. definitely. But
Okay.
it's 350 is a pretty safe amount. Magnesium in general is a very safe nutrient. If you take
Mhm.
too much, what's going to happen is you're going to have diarrhea for like a couple hours. You're just going to poop it all out and then you're fine. Magnesium, very, very safe nutrients. It's not likely that you're going to hit toxicity. So I tend to think of magnesium more as a nighttime nutrient. You can take it in the day, you can take it at night. It doesn't actually matter. You can take it both times of day. I personally prefer to take it in the evening. Um, and then vitamin D is the daytime nutrient. You definitely, definitely, definitely want to take that in the day. You don't want to take it at night because it will interfere with your melatonin production.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. So when I guess like if somebody was interested in, exploring this path, learning about naturopathy, maybe even hiring a coach like you, I noticed on your website that you allow people to basically book like a free kind of consultation session with you. So what does that typically look like for you if somebody is considering working with you?
Yeah, so what we will do is we'll do a first, the first consultation is of course complimentary, and that's really just for me and you to get to know each other. I want to understand what your concerns are. What are your health challenges? Is it something I can help you with, or is it something that I can refer you to one of my colleagues? I explained to you a little bit about the process and how I work to make sure it's something that you're comfortable with. We'll look at what the requirements are. I'm not going to jump on and commit to working with somebody for 3 months who doesn't really want to make the changes. And you have to feel comfortable with my approach, and with who I am. So it's really just an introductory call. And from there, should we go forward and work together, I do either a 3 month or a 6 month program. Now, once we get started, I start off with a deep dive health assessment where we take a look if you've got any lab work that you've done recently, I'll take a look at that, but I'll do my own in-house assessment, non-invasive, to find out where the root cause imbalances could be lying within your body. Is it a magnesium and zinc deficiency? Is it a thyroid issue? Does the problem seem to be stemming from your gut? Is it your liver? And I'm just going to disclose this right here for everybody listening that 99% of the time the problem is coming from your gut or your liver, whether you're dealing with high cholesterol, whether you're dealing with acne, whether you're dealing with infertility, or something like Hashimoto's. The gut and the liver are the two areas we really, really need to pay attention to. So I'll do this assessment for you, see where the imbalances are lying, and from there, I'm actually going to develop a protocol for you. On our first session, I present this protocol to you, and we work on it together. We're going to decide, you're going to say to me, Steph, I don't want to do this. I don't journal, or I don't walk, or whatever the case is. And we're going to customize it to make sure that whatever the plan is going forward fits into your life, and you are not trying to fit your life around a roadmap or a protocol or a treatment plan. Because nothing we're doing is about it should never feel like a treatment plan. It should never feel like you're on a diet. This is just using simple daily things within or simple tools within your daily life to help correct these imbalances. And that's what
Mhm.
it looks like. So over the next 3 to 6 months, we meet every 2 weeks and we work through this protocol. It always includes nutritional guidance, supplement guidance, lifestyle guidance, and then we do touch on in almost every single session, we look at your stress management as well. Because what people tend to forget is that when we're looking at stress, there's three stresses that act on the body. And we always pay attention to the first one, which is the mental and emotional. And that's things like work and finances and family. Those are the things we identify as stress. But we neglect to look at the other two areas. The second one being your chemical stresses, your pesticides, your toxins in your beauty products. Like, is there anything in your environment that is disrupting or contaminating your body? I was once working with a guy who was doing bodybuilding competitions, and he was so riddled with mercury from the amount of tuna he was eating, canned tuna, that was a chemical stressor on the body. And then lastly, you got your physical stresses, which is things like your food. Do you have hidden infections in the body, bacterial overgrowth, or a parasite? So we need to look at the stress that's acting on your body. And every couple of weeks, we meet via Zoom and we work through this protocol. We do your assessments every few weeks to check your progress. And if necessary, we will run some functional labs and some blood work for you.
Okay. And if people wanted to explore that, the best place would be to go to Unlimited You Coaching, your website?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
unlimiteducating.net. They can reach out to me there. I'm so sorry. Like I see the It's getting dark here, so my screen's gone
Yeah,
really dark. So sorry.
that's
Yes, they
okay.
can reach out to me on my website. My email address is on there, and they can also find me on Instagram, which is at Unlimited You Coaching as well.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say it's getting late for you, so I'll hit you with
No
my last
problem.
question here, and I'll definitely make sure to plug that in the show notes. So I guess the last question that I always like to ask people is if you could pass along one piece of advice to people who do feel like inspired idiots, whether they're trying to build the business that builds their unrealistic life or they're trying to explore natural health options as opposed to going the traditional pharmaceutical route, what advice would you give to people who feel like they're inspired idiots?
Mistakes are not failure. You are going to make 100 of them along the way, and that's okay. That is okay. It's going to happen. Expect it. Don't let mistakes stop you from moving forward in creating what it is you want to create, whether that's the business or whether that is your health, your body, building a house, whatever this is for you. Don't let mistakes stop you from fulfilling that dream. Learn from them, but move forward and move forward fast. Don't sit there worrying about the mistakes, letting it hold you back. So that's the first thing I would say. And the second thing, I said it earlier, but it is so important. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. You are going to hit challenges. You're going to be in positions that you're not comfortable in because you've never done it before or you haven't done it enough to feel comfortable in it. Be okay. Expect that and be okay. Allow yourself to feel uncomfortable. We can't ignore our emotions and push our emotions down because that's very unhealthy for us as well. Acknowledge your emotions, but be okay with being uncomfortable. No, even in health, are you going to do a 24-hour fast? You're going to feel hungry. You're going to be a bit uncomfortable. That's okay. You will get through it. If it's in business, you got to do a webinar or you've got to do content or you've got to do a presentation or approach an investor. It's a bit uncomfortable. That's okay. Be okay with being uncomfortable because you are not going to grow into the person you need to be to have that goal, that ideal life. You're not going to achieve it as the person you are right now. I don't say that negatively, but you need to allow yourself to grow into the kind of person who will have that goal, who will achieve that goal, who will build that business, who will create that healthy body.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's a perfect note to end it on. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but thank you so much for giving us your time and coming on today. I appreciate it
Thank you so much, Kelsey. It's been lovely to chat with you today.
for sure.